We owe a debt of gratitude to our rock stars. This country is very much the home of rock music. We have given the world a great gift. We gave the world television, and we gave the world the motor car, some say. But we certainly gave, and are continuing to give the world the greatest rock music the world has ever seen. If you were to put together a best of British rock stars, they would take to the cleaners any other nation's best of rock stars. Pound for pound, penny for penny, it's what we do best of all. Free call 0500 1053 89. It's time to celebrate our rock stars. It's time to treat them properly. In the United States, rock stars end up in Congress with poor Bono, who's gone to meet his maker after a skiing accident over Christmas. But he was one of America's great rock stars, and they recognised that, they made him mayor, and then they put him in Congress. Right. It's time we started to think along the same lines in this country. Wouldn't you vote for Sting, Mick Hucknall, Paul Weller, Linda McCartney, the likes of them? Free call 0500 1053 89. We owe, and the world owes, an enormous debt of gratitude to these people. Not just because they live in this country and pay enormous tax bills, but because they are constantly reminding us of the important things in life. They know. They don't have to work any longer. They can travel around the world, looking at what's right and looking at what's wrong. And thankfully, they altruistically take time out of their lives to tell us what's wrong and tell you what you should be doing about it. Sting. If it wasn't for Sting, we wouldn't know about the tragedy of the rainforests in southern America. Free call 0500 1053 89. If it hadn't been for Elton John, an entire nation, perhaps an entire planet, would not have been able to undergo the essential grieving process as successfully as we did. Thank you, Elton. Thank you, Sting. On behalf of the animal kingdom and vegetarians everywhere, thank you, Linda McCartney. Not just for getting the message across, but providing us with lots of delicious alternatives. Free call 0500 1053 89. Other brands, of course, though, are available. Thank you, Rod Stewart, on behalf of the gay community everywhere, for that terrific song which surprised an awful lot of his fans when he sang about Wee Georgie. A sensitive, caring, gentle, genuine message for the times. Thank you, Rod Stewart. Thank you, Linda McCartney. Thank you, Elton. Thank you, Sting. Thank you, all the girl bands, from the Nolans to the Spice Girls through Bananarama and Echo and the Bunnymen, for reminding us that girls can do it too. Girl power isn't a new thing. Girl power has been going on since, was it Kathy Kirby? No. Who are the sisters? You know. The sisters. It's been going on. Women began to make their mark through their music. Rock music gave people the opportunity to get important messages across, and British rock stars have seized that opportunity with both hands. We have to be proud to be British because of our rock stars, and make sure our rock stars know how wonderful we think they are. Why don't we make them our leaders? Mick Hucknall, was it Rick Hucknall? I can never remember. He'd like to be our leader. He's seriously thinking of standing for Parliament at the next election. And wouldn't that be fantastic? Because anybody who is as successful as he is at what they choose to do, who makes as much money as he does, getting across important messages like he does, that's the kind of calibre of person that we need in Westminster. Not all these third-rate solicitors. Free call 0500 1053 89. Question, how come New Labour gets all the good rock stars and the good comedians, and the Tory party get Lindsay DePaul and Jim Davidson? Why is that? Why is it that cheesy cabaret acts support the Tory party, whereas top-notch, alternative, hard-edge rock acts and comedy acts support the Labour Party? It's a fact, isn't it? I just ask why. You're a student of human nature. Free call 0500 1053 89. The greatest rock star of all is Madonna, and I have to tell you that she hasn't even started yet. I was privileged enough to have a long conversation with her over dinner not long ago, well, a few years ago, at which she told me just what her ambitions are. She's achieved just 2 of them. The third is yet to come, but I promise you it will happen because she's done everything she's set out to do so far. She's going to do this one as well. We're talking about rock stars and politics. You can guess where she is going next. Free call 0500 10 53 89. They generously let us into their lives to share their tragedy. They want to help us share our tragedies. Free call 0500 10 53 89. That kind of sensitivity is exactly what we need in Parliament. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Free call 0500 1053 89. 0500 1053 89.
True story. Steve calls from Lincolnshire. You're on Talk Radio. Steve, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. I was listening to Talk Radio this morning, to Backdoor to Westminster, and the issue of the House of Lords came up and abolishing hereditary peers.
Mm-hmm.
And some very valid points were made. One that, we need something there to keep our MPs in check and make sure they don't pass laws that are unacceptable. And it just occurred to me that people with experience of life, what better than a House of Lords made up of rock stars?
Absolutely. What a superb idea.
To all of our problems.
Yes. So what qualification? How would it work? Who would nominate people for this second chamber, or would they nominate themselves by having achieved
nominate themselves?
two number ones?
We can vote whether or not we want them to be there. It doesn't need many people. It doesn't need a great, huge cabinet of people to keep in check the laws of the land, as it were.
What about three number ones?
Sorry?
3 number ones.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
And having paid a tax bill of more than £1 million.
I think that's perfect qualification.
Steve, thank you for your call.
Thanks a
That's
lot.
a superb idea. Imran calls from London. You're on Talk Radio, Imran.
Yeah, hello. I think that I feel that you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where you get this information from. If we put rock stars into Parliament, what would life come to? Look at these rock stars. They're all bloody druggies. That's what they are. They're all druggies, alcoholics. They ain't got no lives. In Parliament, I feel that we need people who are educated, who know what they're talking about.
Yes, well, first of all, you've made some very serious allegations. Thank goodness you haven't named any names, but then of course you couldn't.
I won't do that.
I mean, this is street corner gossip you're parading here, and this is a serious news and current affairs debate forum. Well, you could say the same thing probably about yourself.
No, I dress sensibly, I look clean, wash every day, not like them, like, druggies.
I'm sorry, it's such a Daily Mail mentality to believe that you can look into somebody's eyes and tell whether they used drugs last night. Doesn't work like that.
No, you can tell the eye colour, ain't it? No, natural eye colour's like white. Look at the eyes.
You haven't been around. You don't know diddly squat. You haven't been around. It's not like that at all. Rock stars are not out on drugs every night.
They're rubbish people. If we put them in Parliament, they will be over the next day. There won't be no world left.
Who do you know who's damaging his career in order to try and save the rainforests? Who else do you know who would do that? Who else do you know who would risk international scorn in order to save some trees? Sting does.
Yeah, but they have to do a few good things to make it look good, don't they?
Are you saying they only do it for propaganda purposes?
Yeah.
To sell albums?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a good way of advertising themselves.
Maybe, but on the other hand, if it makes the world a better place and ensures their success, what's wrong with that?
Well, look at him. Look, he's done that wonderful Dinah tribute thing, okay? But underneath it, I think he's just a shambles as well. He's rubbish.
Let's talk to Roy, who calls from Liverpool. You're on Talk Radio, Roy. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, Roy.
Yeah, I'm just phoning really. I agree with everything you're saying about, pop stars. Because, for a start, they're very beneficial, for the entertainment industry worldwide. They can give millions upon millions of pleasure to, people around the world.
They do.
And, one of Britain's major exports, and give lots and lots of jobs to people in Britain. Millions. And also, they do a lot for charities as well.
Great
for example, several years ago, Feed the World, the record, and the Lady Day Memorial Fund, and things that go towards charity and charities and that.
Absolutely.
So that's just tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely.
So the advantages of the pop stars, are a lot more advantages than disadvantages.
In order to sell a pop record, you've got to know what people like.
Yeah.
To know what people like, you've got to know what people are like.
Yeah.
If you know what people are like, then you are the ideal person to be a politician, because you know what people's hopes and dreams, what people's aspirations, as well as their limitations are.
Yeah.
So armed with that information, you can improve society in the way that people want it to be improved without placing unfair demands on them.
Yeah, I see, yeah. And also because of what pop stars are, are more down to earth and know more in the real world than most politicians. You know, if they get into Parliament, well, they know more they'll know more what the people want than say like politicians. You see what I mean? But the majority of politicians are in the, you know, self-ambitious, self-interest, you know, serving their own interests really. But pop stars, as well as, you know, making a living, they also, like I said before, you know, give lots of pleasure to millions upon people and also benefit society as far as charities go, etc. And also they give lots of role models for young people, you know, to look up to.
Absolutely.
And I think it was Imran, you know, slagging off pop stars about druggies and that. There's only tiny percentage of pop stars into drugs and alcohol and all this.
Yes.
You know, just that's blown up. That's blown up all out of all proportion by the tabloids. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your call, Roy. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Sue calls from Hampshire. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Sue.
Hello, Tommy.
Sue.
What's the problem with the Rockstars?
None whatsoever. That's my point. No problem whatsoever.
Well, I had a boyfriend who was in a rock group in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I can't believe what you're saying. Really?
Well, why did you go out with him then?
Well, because he came over to Belgium while I was living in 1966, 65, 66.
Yeah.
And he was in a very well-known rock group called the Kinks.
Yes. And?
So what's your problem?
I haven't got a problem. That's my point.
What's the problem today?
There isn't a problem today. Why does there have to be a problem today? All I'm doing is I'm saying it's about time we woke up to a simple, single fact, which is that the British rock fraternity rules the world, but unfortunately doesn't rule Britain. And they should.
Well, they've made a contribution. So, I mean, Ray Davis and Dave, his brother, and all the others in the group made a big contribution to money and everything else in Britain. So what's the problem?
The problem is they didn't get the authority that they deserved.
What do you mean authority?
Well, we only kind of listened to their songs and tapped our feet, but as soon as we started humming something else, then we'd forgotten what their message was.
I don't believe that, because now you've got Sunny Afternoon, all the rest of the rock sort of songs they had, and I don't believe what you're saying.
Well, the Kinks, I agree with you, are an exception. They weren't all that,
were they?
were
They were brilliant.
No, they weren't that much cop, really.
Well, they were.
No, they weren't.
They've given lots of things to people now that wouldn't have had things.
But they didn't make any decent songs, did they?
Like what?
Well, exactly.
Well, to the end of the day.
Rubbish.
All day and all the night. Oh, come on.
Unhummable. No,
where were you?
Unhummable. I was a child at the time.
Where were you in 1966?
I was very bored with their songs.
Where were you in 1966?
I didn't find them a very engaging band.
Tommy, where were you in 1966?
Well, I moved around a little bit. I didn't stay in one spot.
Where were you in 1966?
London.
What age?
Where's this going?
What age were you in 1966?
Can I ask a personal question?
Yes.
Have you been to the pub?
No.
Well, that would explain it then.
Now listen, where were you in 1966?
In London.
Sorry?
I was in London.
Now, Tommy, listen.
Yeah? Do another hiccup there.
So what does that mean?
Means you've been to the pub.
No, I haven't. I've been to a friend's party this afternoon.
This afternoon? How much have you had to drink?
Well, I don't know, 2 or 3 glasses of wine.
Oh, that's what... Oh, 2 or 3 glasses of wine,
yes,
officer.
Does that make any sort of preclusion to what we're saying now?
Yes.
In what way?
You can't drink and drive, nor can you be on the phone-in programme in the afternoon.
I'm not drinking and driving. I had a lift home.
Yes.
And most of the people on your programme are pissing.
Off you go. From Hampshire, you see. I don't know what it is with Hampshire. Or whether it's that time of the month, that time of the year. I mean, it's been a full moon recently, and people are often a little bit out of sorts during the first couple of weeks of January. Especially, it seems, women who live in Hampshire. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Hi, my name is Peter O'Neill. Last year I heard on Talk Radio about the
interactive station. Free call 0500 1053 89. Free call 0500 1053 89 now.
We're celebrating Rockstars, Britain's finest. 1 or 2 of them in the House of Commons wouldn't go amiss, would they? The Labour Party could easily fill up a few benches. I can't think that too many rock stars would want to stand for the Conservative Party or the Lib Dems, but I don't know. Maybe you do. Steve is on the line from the Isle of Wight. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Steve.
Hello there.
Steve.
Well, I make my living singing in pubs, and if it wasn't for Rockstars, then I wouldn't have the material that I need to sing.
No.
Every evening.
You steal their songs?
Oh, yes, well, virtually, yeah.
Marvellous,
I do steal their songs. Well, there's no virtually about it. I actually do steal their songs,
You
yeah.
rip them off and you do them not as well as they did them, or...
No.
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 And
no,
you get paid for
it. There's nothing that can beat the original.
No.
But you can put people's mind in that kind of the mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and remind them of the original.
Absolutely.
There's no way you can take over the original or better the original, but you can put people's mind in that kind of vein and understand that. Yeah, this is, and really enjoy it, and then maybe they'll go home and put the record on and think, yeah.
Of all the rock stars, the big rock stars, the superstars that Britain has produced, who do you think is the greatest?
Well, the kind of stuff that I sing, so my favourites would be male, female would be Janis Joplin, and male would be Joe Cocker.
I thought Janis Joplin was American.
British. Yeah, British. Yeah, I'm not really into...
we haven't had any female rock stars, it's as simple as that.
You could, I think
Isn't
you're
it?
right too.
We haven't.
So I can't bring any to mind.
No. Free call 0500 10 53 89. So that would be no good for Labour, would it? Because Labour wants 50-50. So if we're going to have Sting and Elton John and Rod Stewart and Rick Hucknall and all the rest of them in the House of Commons, we're going to need some women rock stars as well, the same number. But I can only think of Linda McCartney, who's fantastic. Apart from that, well, who? Free call 0500 10 53 89. Bill calls from Bradford. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Tommy.
Bill.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Now you're
Did you see that
talking.
programme on him other week on telly?
No, I was out.
Well, I mean, considering that guy earlier on about them all being full of drugs and stuff.
Yes.
Considering the amount of years that he did spend on drugs and drink and what have you. What a beautiful family life that man's got.
Absolutely.
Lovely, well-adjusted kids. His wife adores him, and that man's got his head round everything. There's no way you'd be able to pull your wool over his eyes. I mean, just consider. I mean, like I say, now he doesn't do anything, drugs or drink, does he? I believe.
No, I believe not.
Yeah, and he's healthy as hell.
Yes.
And the way he comes over, he sounds like that. But that man has got a right head on his shoulders. His mind is vast.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah. Go on then.
You know, one national newspaper and an awful lot of influential people are arguing that the time has come for the nation to debate drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. People aren't saying drugs should be legalised or decriminalised. I'm still hazy about the distinction.
Yeah.
Now, people are saying the time has come to talk about drugs again. But whoever's in number 10 Downing Street, whoever's in power, whichever government we've got, right, says, no, we're not going to do that. Do you know why?
No, tell me.
Well, you think it through. If they're going to have a debate about drugs and what drugs are like, and what sort of effect drugs has on people, and how accessible drugs are, and so on and so forth, right? In the House of Commons, they're either all going to have to stand up one by one and say, I know nothing about this topic, in which case, what am I doing on my feet?
Exactly.
Or they're going to have to do the opposite.
Yeah.
And
well, we all know what's going there.
Suffer the consequences.
We all know what's going there. We all know that we know the score.
Steady.
We know the score.
Steady. Bill, thanks for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I honestly believe that is the reason why politician after politician says the time is not yet right to discuss whether or not we should decriminalise certain drugs. Because to do so would be to betray an intimate knowledge of the substances, to have no knowledge of what drugs are like and how they work and how you get them at a street level would disqualify you from taking part in the debate. It's a superb catch-22 situation, isn't it? Chris calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. Chris, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Tommy. I agree with Imran, actually, and I believe that music is a drug just as much as any of the other drugs, such as marijuana or cocaine. Music is a very effective drug. That's why it's been used, and you have to look to the guiding spirit behind the music, because it mesmerizes many young people and many older people. And what we have now, we have people in politics who were part of the 60s generation, and they are so enthralled with the rock music that that's the kind of people who they want to emulate. And I believe that rock stars are very bad influences and very bad role models for young people.
Right.
And music actually affects the frontal lobes of the brain. It actually goes in so that it takes away from the conscience and it dulls the conscience.
So what happens in the frontal lobe of the brain then, Chris?
Well, that's where the conscience is located.
Is that right?
So if you drink and smoke and take drugs and listen to too much music, then the messages in the music and the influence of the drugs, whether they be smoking or alcohol, permeate these frontal lobes and take over, so that the conscience, which was once upright and noble, becomes dulled and perverted.
Tell you what, though.
Yes.
Very good fun.
Well, something which is fun might seem fun at the time, but it might lead to somebody's downfall.
No. Something which seems fun always seems fun at the time. It can't not.
But some rock stars have died because of the fun that they thought they were having, and many later thought that what perhaps it seemed fun 20 years ago, but now in the cold light of day, it's not so much fun. And EMI. Do you know what that stands for? Because I didn't used to know what that stood for. But it stands for, it's either an electrical or electronic military installation. Now, why would a military installation company want to get involved with music?
Hang on a second. You might have got that slightly wrong. And I don't want to get you into any hot water, Chris, because I shouldn't think you could afford an enormous libel suit, could you?
No, but I'm just saying...
So let's move on from the implication that every time you buy a Piggity Witch single, you're actually paying for some missiles somewhere.
No.
Sure you're not saying that, are you?
No, of course I wasn't saying that at all. I was just saying that because music has such a pervasive influence on young people, and if you see the guiding spirit behind music can be the downfall of a whole nation.
Well, why do they sing so many songs in church, then?
Well, because, hymns are different. Hymns are different from rock music because hymns shouldn't have a beat to them. It's the beat in the rock music which is so tantalising.
They do have a beat, though, don't they?
Well, they shouldn't have a beat, and if they have a beat, then they're just as bad as rock music.
Well, have you ever had the Salvation Army up and down your road?
Yes, I have heard them, but no...
Boom, 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 boom.
That's...
In any case, every song's got a beat.
Well, hymns really shouldn't have a beat.
Well, they have.
Well, many hymns don't have a beat.
You can't sing a song that hasn't got a beat. There's no such thing.
Well, it's the beat in rock music which is very tantalising, and also, Tommy, you must have heard of backmasking, haven't you?
I'll tell you something, because I've got a funny feeling you're a Christian.
Yes.
I'll tell you something. There is only one form of music which is used deliberately to mesmerise its audience, and you know what that is, and that's gospel. And that sucks and sways its audience into a virtually hallucinatory state.
Yes.
With the euphoria of its beat.
Yes.
All right?
And it's wrong.
Well, maybe it's right and maybe it's wrong. Those people seem to be enjoying themselves.
But just because music is...
But I don't think you can come on here and start tarring all our rock stars with the same brush.
I can.
No, you can't.
But why can't I? Because I've got...
Because physician, heal thyself.
Oh, yes, I agree, but...
I want to see you standing up on the pew next time you're in church going, no! Drag that organist off his stool. We will not sing in here. It's the devil's work.
I agree that some music is not of God. Some music is just as bad as the music in the world, even though it goes under the name of religion. I totally agree with you, Tommy. But what I'm saying is that that music is very effective in misleading young people, and you have to see the guiding spirit behind the music.
Don't be so silly. Most rock music is much purer in its message than most hymns.
Well, why is it then that many young people, when they listen to rock music, they either take drugs or they do something immoral, or some music has...
Don't be so ignorant. Don't be so ignorant. Most young people, when they listen to rock music, they take drugs or do something illegal. For goodness sake, you just aren't living on the same planet as the rest of us.
No, I said some. I didn't say all. But also, there's backmasking in many songs, and there are messages put out.
You know what you need? You need a good album. You need to actually kick your shoes off and put a nice album on the record player. And I would suggest, let me think, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. That'll get you going around the living room.
Well, I don't think so. But the thing is that many people in their conscious mind can't hear the messages which are in these songs, but they hear them subconsciously. It's the subconscious which can hear them, and that's what's so dangerous about them. That many people don't realise how dangerous this music is, and because it's so effective, it's the most mesmerising thing that music could possibly be, because it gets all generations and all classes and creeds.
Have you heard that Liverpool band, Stark Staring Bonkers? Have you heard them?
No.
They're fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I would recommend Stark Staring Bonkers to you.
Well...
Great band. Great band.
But you see, Tommy, if you see the guiding spirit behind the music...
Who else is there? Who else is there we could recommend for Chris? Oh, there's that band, I don't think they're still together, Nutty as a Fruitcake. Fantastic.
Well...
Fantastic. Violins. Fantastic.
Well, you might say that this is nutty, but many people know about this just as much as me.
No, I'm suggesting a band to you. What? You're not suggesting that I think you're a brick short of a load.
No, there are many people who have been in the rock music business who now write books about it. These facts are well known. It's not just me saying it.
It's a well-known fact. Chris, if ever it comes to it, you make a terrific taxi driver. Thank you for your call.
Thank you. God bless.
No, I don't want him to bless me. No. Ooh, that's a pungent thing to tack on the end. I hate that. Don't do that. All right, hang on a second. Oi, up there, big fella. No blessing. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We're celebrating our rock stars. When people come to this country from other countries, they're not that bothered anymore with seeing the thatched cottage where Shakespeare wrote Hamlet, or that enormous edifice that the royal family used to live in, Buckingham Palace. No, they want to find out about a rock star. They want to know, where did Mick Jagger live? They want to know, where did the Beatles used to play their music? Because that's the one great gift that Britain's made to the world in the 20th century, apart perhaps from European peace. Rock music. Free call 0500 10 53 89. In any other country, our rock stars would be accorded the status and the authority which they deserve. We deserve them in the House of Commons. They know us. They know what we want. They know what we like. They could make the world a better place for all of us. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Chris calls from Birmingham. You're on Talk Radio. Chris.
Hello, Tommy.
Chris.
Hello, I just wanted to make the point that this link between music and politics is certainly nothing new, certainly not an invention of the 20th century. I'm going back thinking of the 18th century, that monarchs would pay absolutely vast amounts of money to attract star performers so that they could be the envy of all the other nations and become more politically important. I mean, especially Italy, because Italian music dominated the whole of Europe. And so Italy obviously spread politically and became more important than it was. If, for instance, you're familiar with the Marriage of Figaro, Mozart.
Vaguely.
It's from a play by Beaumarchais.
It was
very important in kind of stirring up the seeds of the French Revolution.
Oh, I see.
And also the singer Farinelli virtually became the governor of Spain, virtually governed the entire country just because, you know, it was a singer. And people were very fiercely nationalistic about their musical styles at the time as well. And people would use that to say that, oh, the French nation's a load of rubbish because the music's rubbish. And I just wondered what you thought about that.
Well, it's an interesting thought. It seems to me that we trust people who know and understand, who have music in their soul. Bill Clinton's... Have you seen Bill Clinton on sax?
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't just sort of, you know, do the scales. I saw the man jamming with a serious jazz band just after he was elected first time round. And unless he was miming, he was serious Ralph Ravenscroft, okay? Now, apparently Tony Blair is also mustard on the electric guitar. But he won't do it because he thinks it might sort of damage his credibility. I say the opposite.
Yeah, I can make it more accessible to most people, perhaps.
Absolutely.
Maybe should write a few songs.
Who, Tony Blair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But it is an interesting... It seems to me an unanswerable question why rock stars and comedy performers with serious street cred support the Labour Party, and rock stars and comedians who have no street cred whatsoever support the Tory Party.
Yeah, but come on, look at William Hague. I mean, what kind of credibility can you have from supporting him?
But it's been going on for years.
Well, that's because the Tory Party have been in for years, isn't it? And it's been fashionable to support the underdog.
But no, you had Red Wedge. No. You had the likes of Red Wedge, and Ben Elton was screaming vote Labour, 15 years ago. An alternative comedian. Someone with a hard act, So a little silence, shall we? Just gonna have a bit of a silence. Can you tell the transmitter not to switch itself off? You can just about hear the traffic outside if you listen carefully. I'll just have a look and see if there's anything going by. Nicked out to have a fag next door.
think you should put that in your wonderful hour.
Shall we get on with the show? Chris?
Why not?
Okay. Chris, thanks very much indeed for your call. Nice to talk to you. It's Stuart who's next, calling from Leicester. You're on Talk Radio, Stuart. Good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Stuart.
How you doing?
No, I'm well. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
There.
EMI.
Yes.
It stands for heavy metal, innit?
Fair enough.
Answer me a question, Tommy. Can you name me one French rock band? The answer's got to be no.
Well, there's only that Johnny Holiday.
Yeah. Rock music.
I know.
Okay. Why, if they haven't got a decent rock band, the reason they haven't is because Britain's had them all. We've had every single one of them.
Agreed.
Why have they got a Minister of Rock, and why haven't we? And can I be it?
You'd like to be the Minister of Rock?
I would.
You know what we haven't got in this country? When you consider all the complications that arise, it's extraordinary that we haven't got a Minister of SEX.
True.
You see? With so many of the constraints put on the National Health Service, the Home Service, you know? Because people are in a quandary about how they should actually be running their SEX lives. They've talked about a Minister for Children, you know, and you're right, they talk a lot about ministers for all sorts of things, but it is, after all, the most popular human activity of the lot, and yet which minister is responsible for it?
Yep, there isn't one.
No.
Lots of ministers for cock-ups, though.
It's true.
Loads of them. I think that the Minister of Rock also, you could combine the two. You know, Blair's talking about a drug czar at the moment.
There is a drug czar.
There is one already.
We've got one.
I bet he's never been near a drug in his life. But to go into Parliament, if you're doing anything with drugs, I think that the guy should be forced to sit down and take them all, so that he can say, yes, I know what heroin did for me. It did that, and I did not like it. My ex-father-in-law was a Spanish MP, and he did exactly that thing. He took every drug that you can name, clinically, so that he could talk authoritatively on that subject, on that specific drug.
But then, of course, having taken them all, he couldn't talk authoritatively on anything.
It was over a period of years.
Except how much he'd like a curry, and no, when's that taxi going to get here?
He only did each one once, to see what it would be like.
How interesting. How interesting.
And I think that if you're going to put a rock star into the house, it's got to be Jimmy Page.
Fair dues. Fair dues. So did you say your father-in-law?
My ex-father-in-law.
Ex-father-in-law, I'm with you, yes. Isn't life complicated?
He's a Spanish politician.
Fantastic. What, an MP?
Yeah.
Good God. Wait. This was a way back. I mean, did they have MPs when Franco was driving around?
Oh, I've got no idea, Tommy.
Oh, I see. It's just
a piece of... going back about 10 years now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, a little family truth. When did Franco die? 1977. Yeah. All right, post-Franco. Stuart, nice to talk to you.
And you, Tommy.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
Free call 0500 1053 89. There has to be something in this theory, that the reason that successive governments refuse to discuss the decriminalisation of drugs is because they could not stand up in the House and claim that they know anything about it. Therefore, the debate could not take place. Now, that's sad, isn't it? We need to give them a little bit more leeway, don't we? Some of our MPs have used drugs. That has to be the case. That has to be the case. If the President of the United States did when he was at Oxford, okay?
Talk to Tommy Boyds. Free call 0500 1053 89.
See, people who can run fast often end up in the House of Commons. You've got the Liberal Democratic defence spokesman Minjiz Campbell, who was a 100 metres runner for Scotland. You've got Geoffrey Archer, who was a 100 metres runner for England. You've got Steve Cram, who's going to be in the next Parliament. You've got Sebastian Coe. You know, the list is endless. Free call 0500 1053 89. Except that's it. Frank calls from Surrey. You're on Talk Radio. Frank, good afternoon. Rockstars in Parliament.
Well, I wanted to refer to a caller that you had on a few minutes ago, Tom, that suggested that there was a correlation between rock music and drugs.
Young Chris.
I think Chris was her name, yeah. I wanted to say that, I think she had a point, man, because, I started on that slippery slope a few years ago. I foolishly went out and bought, I don't know if you remember the Archer's record, Archie's Sugar.
Oh, yes.
Thought I could handle it. And now I moved on to T-Rex and Slade, started sampling B-sides, and since then it's just been downhill, man. I've listened to heavy metal, funk music, and I've even started listening to some folk music now, so, I think she might have had a point, man.
Chris, thank you for your... Frank, thank you very much indeed for your call. Bob is in South Wales. You're on Talk Radio. Bob, good afternoon. Bob, hi.
Your suggestion about politicians coming from the ranks of the rock and roll stars.
Yes.
I'd just like to offer an alternative to you, Tommy.
Okay.
I think it would be a better idea if the guys that controlled the pop stars, such as Mickey Mouse, Branson, and Stock Aitken and Waterman, whether they would make the better politicians. Someone like Pete Waterman, if he can make a star out of Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan, then he's our man.
You're raising, of course, a very, very important point. Who is responsible for the preeminence of British rock worldwide? Is it the rock stars themselves, or is it their spin doctors?
I think it's their spin doctors. Clever marketing, Tommy.
Powerful point, Bob. Well made. Thank you for that. Free call 0500 1053 89. Stuart calls from Essex. You're on Talk Radio, Stuart.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, Stuart.
Hi. Talking about rock stars, a female famous rock star. What about Susie Quatro? What's the matter with your man?
She's not English.
She ain't?
No.
Oh, you wanted English, right.
She's American.
Yeah, anyway, that's not my point. My point is about...
It was your point.
No, it ain't. It's
it
not
was
what I rang
completely
for.
your point.
No, honest.
It wasn't a very good one.
Right, what my point is...
Yes.
You know, you grow up, all through your years, you're listening to these lovely songs that put you to a place and a time and all this, and this particular record will make you think of this particular person.
Yes.
And then 10 years later, you find out that the rock star was actually gay.
Yes.
I'm not talking about a rock star in particular, I'm talking about a pop star.
Understood.
But don't you think that one of the things that should be said is that they should come clean with their sexuality in the beginning so that we can, you know, I mean, sometimes are these songs about another man or are they about another woman, you know?
Well, you know, like a lot of food products these days have to have the list of ingredients on the packet.
That's it, yeah.
Well, maybe the rock stars should make a series of declarations about their personal habits on their sleeves.
It seems to me the more money they earn, the more eccentric they become. You know, they become whoever they want to be.
Yes, and what's interesting is that other people, when they become very rich, become more boring. You see, I bet Bill Gates could not possibly be more boring, could he? He must have been more interesting when he was younger.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. Richard Branson. He is an incredibly boring man, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. I'd like to be Richard Branson.
Maybe, but he's boring.
Yeah, I'd like to be bored like him.
That's not the point. Yeah. He's a boring person. Has he ever made you laugh? Has he ever said anything interesting?
I don't think he has, no.
No, exactly my point.
Up. That's what makes me laugh.
And isn't his interest in ballooning tragic? It's tragic, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we had a friend like that, we would slap him, wouldn't we?
We certainly would, yeah.
Wouldn't we?
Yeah, and,
seriously.
And really, you wouldn't want to... I think rock stars also, they've got a lot to answer for over the years. I don't think I'd want any rock star to be put into Parliament because they have a lot of influence on the young children, and a lot of rock stars have had a lot of influence on the drug taking throughout. Of course they have.
There's no human...
A lot of rock music influences drug taking.
What a load of old rubbish.
That is not rubbish.
It is. Now,
Tommy, I know a lot of people... I've never actually took drugs myself, but I know a lot of people that would like to listen to a certain record by a certain very, very big English rock band whilst they were either sped up or tripping, you know, and they wouldn't listen to that song or that LP unless they were.
Yeah, you're confusing something here. You're confusing where people get the message that drugs are okay, right? You're confusing that with using rock music to enhance your state of mind, which is what everybody does, whether they're on drugs or not. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Nobody listens to a rock record that says go take drugs and goes out and takes drugs. What happens is people get bad advice from people like school friends or mates that they go discoing with.
Agreed.
That's what happens, okay.
But a lot of, you know yourself, a lot of rock stars have got a lot to answer for themselves, and you know, you can't deny that.
We just don't like them, do we? I mean, there's Phil Collins, I can't stand him, can you?
Phil Collins?
Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart.
He's a plonker.
You're talking about Rod Stewart, and he come out with this gay song, and it was a wonderful song, but that's the only good song he's ever sung.
True enough. Thank you for your call. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Talk Radio, the conversation of the nation. Free call 0500 1053 89 now.
Mandy's on the line from Kent. You're on Talk Radio. Mandy, hello.
Hello. It's just basically the same point as the man from Wales made about the fact that I don't think it's the pop stars that know what we want. It's the people behind them, like people like Max Gifford.
Has Max Clifford got a band now? I missed that.
Well, I'm surprised if he hasn't. He's got everything else, hasn't he? But he's so good at knowing what the public wants that everything he touches, he sells.
Yes.
You know, so I think it's the likes of him and, like, the managers that really know what we want and what our lives are like to be able to fill the gap for us to buy what they're offering.
If you look at the intake of MPs that we had in May, 600 and however many it was of them who are now running our lives in a certain respect at Westminster, most of them, you know, are mediocre solicitors and lecturers.
Yeah.
You know, and what do they know?
Oh, yeah, I think we need a few more teachers or nurses in now.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, that was basically it.
I'm grateful for your call. Jeff's in Leeds. Jeff, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Jeff.
How are you this afternoon?
I've never been better. How about you, pal?
I'm very well indeed.
How about this?
Right, just tell me 10 people. I know it won't... Well, just give me 5 then.
5?
Pop stars who could form a cabinet.
Who could form a cabinet?
With intelligence.
Yes.
With knowledge of life.
Yes.
You won't get very far.
Well, there's Sting for a start. He obviously cares about the planet, and he's a wise man.
He's been ridiculed an awful lot.
Well, who hasn't?
Yeah, go on.
Who hasn't?
I'll put Sting down.
It doesn't disqualify him. In fact, he gets ridiculed, does it?
Carry on.
Okay, then. Bob Geldof.
No way.
Why not?
Next.
Ask the Ethiopians.
Who?
The Ethiopians, whether they think that Bob Geldof makes the world a better place.
Well...
Yeah.
No. I meant a cabinet. I'm not talking about worldwide scam. I'm talking about cabinet that can run a country.
And what does a foreign secretary do, then?
Well, he does a downside better than Geldof does.
In what respect?
Well, to start with, they get washed.
What have our foreign secretaries ever done? Can you name our foreign secretaries? Who was our previous foreign secretary?
I don't need this. Mr.
Why not?
Hurd.
No, it wasn't.
Who was it?
Malcolm Rifkind.
Carry on. Next one.
Ha.
Never mind laughing.
I will laugh. Paul McCartney.
In politics?
Yes, which is what he's in.
Next.
Leo Sayer.
No way.
Why not?
Too weak.
What do you mean weak?
You need positive people that can run a country. We're not looking for pop idols, pop stars that can go on and do 20 minutes and get off.
Mick Jagger.
Oh, yeah.
Strong enough for you?
No way. Next.
Well, what's your definition of strength then? What do you want, big guys?
No, people who can hold a conversation. Jagger can't hold a conversation. Geldof can't hold a conversation without coming out with 4-letter words, and you'd cut me off if I used half the words that he used.
That's just prejudicial ignorance, Jeff.
From me?
Yes, from you. No,
Geldof.
from you.
It's
from
the
you.
lack of the English language that makes him do that.
From you? Well, you didn't see him when he was interviewed by Michael Aspel, when he had Patrick Cameron, you know, Lord Campbell. What's his name?
I also saw Sting when he was interviewed with, not by, but with the Scottish kiddie, the long-bearded guy.
What's his name?
Yeah, quite.
Old,
the one that did the...
Old, what's his name?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he just said the guy's a joke.
Yes.
Well, I would put him in.
You would?
I would indeed. He's got an insight into life.
Yes.
Very much so. And I can't remember his bloody name.
No. Stephen calls from Norfolk. You're on Talk Radio. Stephen, good afternoon.
Oh, Tommy, I was just going to ask if you could give me an example of a record that has got a message in that's been actually listened to the whole world and acted upon.
Well, I think one song which changed the way the world thought about Russia in 1917 and the Bolshevik rising there was that one by Boney M.
But did it actually change anything?
Well,
the event had already happened. What I was saying is people like Sting who might have bigger things in mind in regards to the rainforest, which evidently hasn't worked because they're still cutting down as much rainforest as they ever have done. I can't remember a single by him or single on a record which people listened to and said, oh yes, there's that record, I think we'll go and have a different view on this.
That's why we need them in Parliament.
Sorry?
That's why we need them in Parliament.
The point, I'm not disputing whether or not they would be good in Parliament or not. I was just saying about the connection between actually being a rock star, producing rock music, and being a good parliamentarian. The two, they could be connected by coincidence, but are not necessarily connected in reality. That was the point I was trying to get across on that.
Very muddled. Thank you for your call. Yes?
The other point I was going to say is that you don't necessarily have to experience something to have knowledge of it. I mean, I've never been in a car crash, but I know they're bad. You could not have experience of drugs, but know that they're bad. You know, why do you have to experience everything?
Well, it helps, doesn't it?
That might help, but I say that's not necessarily a requirement, is it?
No, but it helps, doesn't it?
It could help, but, you know, if you take that argument further, you could say, well, in order to be the Minister of Transport, he ought to be in a car accident to know what that's like.
No, people always have lost an argument when they have to illustrate it with a metaphor that doesn't actually equate. It's not illegal to be in a car crash.
It's not, sorry?
Illegal to be in a car crash.
But you could, maybe that was a bad example.
A very bad example.
Okay, I'll take that one on there. But the point is that there are examples where you don't necessarily have to be in on it in order to know that could be either good or bad.
Next time we talk, you must tell me what they are. Stand by for Peter Dealey and Britain's fastest moving.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.